Hi, it's welcome to Bitchin' in the Kitchen with Rob Christian, and I'm your host, Rob Christian, and I'm here, and I'm going to do something a little different this time. This is going to probably take about 4 or 5, maybe 4, hopefully, different uploads to YouTube. But I'll label it all the same. It's just going to be called Spaghetti and Meatballs. And it'll be spaghetti and meatballs, 1, 2, 3, however many I have to make. But what I'm gonna do is make tomato sauce, New York style, restaurant style, what you would get in a restaurant, a high grade restaurant, even, some pizzerias. Their tomato sauce. And what they use is a tomato called, what they try to use is this tomato. And there's a big thing with Italian in these. So I'm going over here now. I'm going to open these up. Next time I'll pre-open these. At least you know it's real today. Oh, I put bones in the ovens. I just went to the store, bought some beef bones. I put them on a sheet pan that I aluminum foiled. Little olive oil, just a tiny bit on each bone, salt and pepper. I think I got a timer that's behind me on the refrigerator set. Should be going off any moment.
The microwave?
Now, on the microwave, yeah. I use that timer.
It's 3.5 minutes left on it.
Okay. So now, I'm just going to put these in this sink for now. I want to just put these, this is the tomatoes that we'll be using. So let me give you a little history from what I've learned. And this is just what I've learned from other chefs. These San Marzano tomatoes that we all swear by is from Naples, Italy. And sorry to everybody who's Sicilian who thinks that's what we do in New York. This is definitely a Napoletan dish. And most restaurants, like I said, do it this way. I made a career out of going from pizzeria to pizza, different restaurants, and every time I didn't have to change it that much. The recipe changes so little from restaurant to restaurant. Anyway, I was just saying, I'm going to mention that the tomatoes, where they're grown, where they're supposed to be grown, where you think they're grown, is maybe 100 by 100 lot. So that's not feeding everybody in America these tomatoes. So what they do is they break off a little vine, and they transport it to America, plant it, and that's how they get away with, well, they don't get away with anything. What they're giving you the same tomato, but basically grown in America now. All right, so let me just look at these bones. I got 2 minutes, and they're looking pretty good right now. All right, so what I'm gonna do is pull these, because I wanna rub a little tomato paste on each one of these. So I'm just gonna put these up on the grill, keep the oven going. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna...
That's the burner.
What? Oh, I'm clicking? Yeah, thanks.
Just get a little, there you go.
My mom would use Contatina, or what is it? This is what my mom would use, but they're all the same stuff, so. Someone that sent those going, they're not the same stuff, I know that because I know how people are. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little bit on each bone. Come on, smear it on. And I'm gonna bake these till the tomato paste is really dark. And why I'm doing that is when I put it into my tomatoes, that I'm gonna start soon, like I said, this is gonna be a little bit, because once I get to a certain point, this has to cook for hours. Like this will cook 24 hours in an Italian restaurant. Well, at least 12. At home, I get away with 2 hours, 3 hours. So like I said, I'm not gonna do a 3-hour video. My phone will be tied up all day on YouTube. All right, we're almost there. Let's do this. Now, what I don't use, just so you know, if you're following along and just seeing what I'm doing, like, cause it's no rhyme or reason when I cook. And that's what I think people liked about what I did was like, I could come up with the same dish all the time, the same taste, but it was more of an eyeball thing. I never measured, still don't measure. I find it infuriates. So there, that's that. Now what I would usually do is burn my hand and pick this right back up and throw it in the oven without a rag, and then we're gonna throw it back on the same thing, and we're gonna let that brown up. Now in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is, if you come over here and just look at the bottom of this pot that I'm going to be, my assistant was, who is my wife, Susan. Hi, Susan Christian.
Hello.
And
I just got the oven going back again.
yeah, so yeah, she's kind of backing me up here. Well, I'm gonna start with some nice virgin olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom. All right, and then I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of garlic. Now this changes probably every time I make this, but you know, it's written down, and you can ask Susan. I have it written down somewhere. But if I was to go and look for it right now, everybody would be like, "Oh, that's another 2 hours of video." All right, so I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to start sauteing that, but I want to throw some onion in because that's one of the main things in here. And what I'm going to do is just come on. I'm Michael J. Foxing right now, if anybody wants to know. Anyway, I'm okay. Here we go. Now we're gonna throw some onion in. Over here. Maybe a little more. Okay. This is most of the back end of the onion, and it just doesn't belong in my sauce. Okay, so now I'm sauteing my onions and garlic. And let me just, we'll use wood. Now, I can tell already just how much it's going, that I'm gonna simmer it, bring it down a lot. And this middle burner I have here it runs really, really hot. So I adjust. You know, if I want something super low, I go to another burner. It's not gonna happen on this. But what I'm gonna do right now, because I gotta crush up some tomatoes, and I'm old school, I'm gonna wash my hands as far as the tomatoes. I'm not putting them into a blender or anything like that. I'm just gonna do something, and when we get to the end, you're going to be like, oh wow, he didn't have to put it into a blender. And I'll show you exactly, step by step. No, I can't call it step by step. Okay, so my hands are really clean.
Move the green thing.
What?
Move the green thing.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, and all I'm going to do is crush these up. I remember doing this at a restaurant in Plainview, Long Island. And just for one of the sauces we were making there, it was actually a marinara. The tomato sauce, we didn't bother crushing up the tomatoes because we were open 5 cases at a time. Those really big cans, number 10 cans, I think. Anyway, so after, you know, there was no crushing. You just let it cook itself out. Okay, so I got it pretty crushed up. And what I'm gonna do is add it at the right moment, which isn't yet. Now, if you come over and look, I'm looking for something with my garlic. I'm looking for my garlic to turn dark, dark, dark. And everybody's like, oh, that's, you know, the worst thing in the world. You know, he doesn't know what he's doing. And all I can say is I've been doing this for 50 years. I kind of know what's going to happen. I've seen people burn garlic and then throw something, you know, on it, and the garlic all of a sudden turns back to a lighter color. And I never knew why, but that's just what it does. I don't know why, but so I never worry when I'm sauteing garlic. Okay, we're getting close though. As you can see, they're getting light brown. And after I add the tomatoes, I think we're going to look at the bones. And then from there, we're going to shut down and we're going to come back because I'm going to combine everything into this pot. Simmer it.
For about how long?
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll come back in between because I'm making meatballs today too because that's the show, spaghetti and meatballs. This is the sauce. So, all right, let's see. You know, I'm going to just raise the heat. I want this to brown up a little more. I want the onions a little cooked a little more. Now, eyeball the bones over here. Oh, yeah. Now, you see how the tomato paste is starting to darken up and it's really sizzling? Now, when this goes into the sauce, it's going to change the texture of the tomato sauce. It's enter the bake time. Where are we? Okay, I touched it. I probably ruined it.
I got it. Back on 425.
Okay. Oh.
You-
Okay.
Maybe let them know in advance if the bones don't stay in the sauce. They only simmer in the sauce. and then
Right,
they get
right.
removed.
When I'm ready to prepare the tomato sauce at the, you know, when I get it to like pot service, there's a step in there that the bones come out. And you'll be here for that because I think, yeah, I'm gonna like
Yeah, you're
do
gonna
that.
come,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I can do that while I do the meatballs.
Mhm.
All right, so let's see. Okay, now my garlic is really dark, kind of darky. Most people would be like, "Dad, put it in now, you know, yelling at me.
Throw it over.
Okay.
It's just hot.
There we go. You see how over here, the darkness of those little pieces, like, I used to let it all go the same color. I used to kill, people would be like sweating it when they worked with me. They'd be like, does he know what he's doing? And like I said, you know. Oh, that's a timer? Are we still videotaping?
Well, you did the bone. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
no, it's just the oven saying that it
Went to
got back up.
temperature.
Went back up.
We're getting used to this kitchen. Okay, and that's all the tomatoes I'm gonna, okay. All right, I'll make sure that you guys know I was an 80s chef.
Nice scraper.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, the hand always works better. Okay, I'm not shoving my hand in. Okay, okay.
Now you can really see the dark garlic too.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm stirring this up. Now everybody has a different preference on salt and pepper. And some people like things really salty. I don't. But my wife, who I love, does. So what I do is I usually shake it around once, maybe twice on the grater. I might just coat the top with that. Pepper she doesn't care about, and I like pepper, so we're gonna go down with some pepper right there. It's like I'm hearing a boomerang effect or something. All right, so I'm gonna take out the bones and we're gonna put them in the sauce. Those look pretty good to me. I'm gonna have one more of these. I'm gonna just see if I can put the bone things right here. All right. All right, so I'm going to stop this. Yeah, they look good. All right, and these are my bones. And these are just cut down beef bones. They're leg beef bones, I believe. I really didn't ask. Sometimes Susan will tell you when I get into like the butcher departments or talking to other chefs in restaurants, they get really, not snippety, but they get kind of like a little crazy that, you know, I'm asking them questions, like I'm testing them. It's not like that. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking these bones one by one. I'm throwing them in the sauce, as you can see. they might stick a little bit, but as you can see, the bone, what I'm looking for is the marrow to come out of the bone. And that's what thickens the sauce too. And that's what Jell-O's made out of. And I guess, make sure your kids aren't watching. All right, and we have a few more bones. And this is almost out of boil, believe it or not. And we're gonna stop right here. And just look for spaghetti and meatballs too. That's how I'll label it. Thank you, and it's nice to be back. And thank you, hon. I love you.